Emily Vance handed her business plan across the loan officer's desk, steady with hope.
Miss Vance, there's a flag I wasn't expecting.
The screen pulsed red, $180,000 in active debt across 4 accounts.
I've never borrowed a cent. This is some kind of error. I'm sorry, but I need to involve the branch manager.
The manager's office door opened. Rebecca Chen took one look and froze. She knew that face.
Emily Vance? From college? It's Rebecca. Rebecca Chen, your old roommate?
Emily barely processed the name. But Rebecca was already studying her, searching for a tell.
Before I go further, what did you order at our Tuesday night dumpling spot freshman year?
The question was not small talk. It was a key only the real Emily would have. And across the city, someone with her face was already spending the truth. But years before a loan application, the Vance twins were indistinguishable. They finished each other's sentences, shared every secret, and wore each other's clothes without asking. By 16, the mirror cracked. Ashley chased risk. Emily chased approval. One afternoon, a silk blouse went missing from a boutique, and the accusation landed on the wrong sister.
They won't catch me, and if they do, I'll say it was you. You're the good one, right?
6 years later, Ashley didn't get away. A stolen car, a police stop, and suddenly her last name was on a booking sheet that listed Emily's address as hers. The mugshot was a gut punch. Same face, same hair, same faint freckles, but the eyes were colder, the smile a weapon. Emily sat in the courtroom, her stomach hollow. She posted bail with savings meant for school. Ashley hugged her in the hallway, whispered thanks, and was gone by morning. The room Ashley left behind stayed frozen. Clothes on the floor, a half-empty cup of coffee, the scent of cheap perfume. Emily didn't touch it for a year. Eventually, Emily packed the boxes herself. She moved to a 1-bedroom across town, set up a drafting desk, and built something quiet and honest.
I don't need a twin. I have my work, my plans, and a name that's finally just mine.
But a name on a loan application isn't a monument, it's a doorway. And without Emily knowing, someone was already turning the lock.
Another freelance project, another revision. If I want to scale, I need capital.
Her phone buzzed with a message from a former client. First Mercantile approves small business loans fast. Ask for the branch on Winslow. They helped me within a week.
That's exactly what I need to hire an assistant and upgrade my equipment. No more working until 2 a.m.
She printed her business license, 2 years of tax returns, and a crisp 12-page proposal, sliding them into a new manila folder. The next morning, Emily walked into First Mercantile, the glass doors reflecting a skyline sharp with opportunity. Inside, the marble lobby glowed under recessed lights. A teller line moved slowly. She joined the queue for new accounts.
This place feels solid. I should have done this months ago. Miss Vance? Right this way. I'm Miss Hendricks. You have all your documents? Everything's here. I'm ready to grow.
The officer opened the folder, fingers poised above the keyboard. Emily watched her type, breathing easy, not knowing the system was about to spit fire.
Pork and chive dumplings, extra ginger. You always stole mine before I could finish.
Rebecca let out a slow breath, the breath she'd been holding since the loan officer first flagged the screen.
That's the answer. I had to be sure it was really you, Em.
From a manila folder tucked beside her keyboard, she slid a single sheet across the polished desk, black and white stills, time-stamped. The first image showed a woman at the teller window, auburn hair tucked behind one ear, signing a document, Emily's name on the line.
That's not my signature. That's not me. That's my twin, Ashley.
4 accounts, credit cards, a car loan, a personal line, all opened in person with your ID, same face every time.
Emily's hands curled around the edge of the desk, her knuckles white against the charcoal wool of her blazer. The photographs were dated over 18 months of fraud. Every visit, every signature, every lie.
She used my name for 18 months. I will find out why. I will find her.
Emily set the manila folder on her kitchen table and stared at it like it might bite. Then she picked up her phone. The recorded voice was flat. "The number you have dialed is not in service."
Same number she's had since high school. She really cut every tie.
She opened her laptop and pulled a full credit report. The screen loaded with accounts she never opened. Each entry bore her social security number, her date of birth, and an address she'd never lived at. At the police precinct, she slid the surveillance stills across the counter. The desk sergeant barely looked up. He said, "Looks like a civil matter. If it's your sister, that's family drama. We don't have the resources for this."
Resources, as if $180,000 in debt is a sibling squabble.
Back in her apartment, she spread the documents across the floor. The surveillance photos, the credit report, her untouched business plan. No one was coming to save her. She would have to find Ashley Vance herself, and when she did, the silence between them would not be the comfortable kind. Emily pulled up her freelance calendar and cross-referenced every date on the credit report. 3 accounts opened while she was presenting at a design conference in Seattle.
I didn't even touch my phone that weekend. Someone stood where I was supposed to be.
She pinned the loan application addresses onto a city map. 4 bank branches, all within a 5-mile radius of an apartment she'd never visited. The forged documents had the same slant on every signature, a schooled mimicry, not a spontaneous forgery.
She didn't do this alone. No one learns to forge documents and fool 4 banks without help.
She searched online for identity theft rings and found a dozen cases where professionals recruited family members as front people.
The police said family drama, but this felt too clean, like someone with experience was pulling the strings.
She needed someone who moved in the shadows, who could trace the money and find the puppet master behind her twin. By midnight, she was searching for private investigators. The ones who specialized in fraud cases had 5-star reviews and a retainer fee she'd have to clear. Outside, the streetlights flickered on. Inside, Emily Vance added one more document to her pile, the name of a man who could find anyone. The PI's office smelled of old coffee and stale smoke. Emily set the manila folder on his cluttered desk without a word. Inside were surveillance stills, a credit report, and a timeline she'd built. He flipped through them, his face unreadable.
His retainer ate my savings, but if he could prove the conspiracy, it would be worth every cent.
3 days later, the investigator called her to a coffee shop, not his office. He was cautious that way. From an envelope he slid a grainy photograph, Ashley walking beside a man in his 50s, their heads bent together.
That's my Uncle Gregory. He raised her after she vanished. I thought he was just out of work.
The PI's voice was low but clear. Gregory Vance had a fraud conviction, forgery, and a suspended real estate license.
A convicted fraudster and my twin. This wasn't a mistake. It's a family business.
He handed her a list of addresses and account numbers, a pattern that pointed to more than 2 people. Emily stared at the photograph again. Ashley's eyes looked different from the mugshot, not cold, but trapped. She pulled his criminal record first, a 10-year-old loan scam that dissolved before trial because witnesses disappeared. The signatures, the shell companies, the vulnerable front person. It was a blueprint of the fraud being run today.
He trained her. Every forged signature, every stolen account, she's been his instrument for years.
The next morning, she sent a single text to Rebecca. "Coffee. Urgent." At the corner table, Emily laid out the evidence, PI photos, Gregory's record, the map of addresses.
This crosses state lines. M, the FBI has a financial crimes unit. You need to take this there.
FBI means federal charges, no plea deals, no probation. Ashley would go away for years.
Rebecca's voice was gentle but firm. If you don't act, your name will never be yours again.
She's right. But once I cross that door, I can't uncross it.
Outside, rain streaked the glass. Emily looked at her own reflection, and for a moment, it could have been Ashley staring back. The next afternoon, Emily walked into a nondescript federal building. The receptionist handed her a visitor badge without asking her name. Agent Torres laid out a file thicker than hers on the table. We've been watching Gregory Vance for 8 months. He's running a fraud ring with your sister as the face. She opened a small case with a wire transmitter. We need evidence from inside. Someone they trust. Someone with your face.
They want me to wear a wire into a family reunion with a convicted fraudster and my twin.
While she was still staring at the transmitter, her phone buzzed. A text from a number she hadn't seen in years. The message was short. Family reunion this Saturday at Uncle Greg's. Please come, Em. Ips, important.
She couldn't have known about the FBI, could she?
Agent Torres leaned forward. This is a chance to shut him down permanently. Wear the wire, record everything, and we'll be listening. She turned the tiny black device over in her palm, its weight negligible, its consequence absolute.
If I say yes, I turn my sister into a felony conviction. If I say no, my name dies on paper.
That night, Emily sat on her bed and scrolled through the only photo she'd kept. 2 girls on a tire swing, identical and inseparable.
We shared a face but not a conscience. I won't let her take the rest of me.
By midnight, she was calling Agent Torres from her kitchen, the phone cold against her ear.
I'll do it. Wire me up. Let's end this.
Agent Torres walked her through the plan. The reunion was the following Saturday, and she'd be mic'd before she arrived. The device would be taped inside her blazer, just below the ribs, invisible to a casual search. She practiced pulling her blazer straight, testing the bulge in the mirror until her hands stopped shaking.
I'll be on standby, Em. The moment it's over, you come straight to me.
No more waiting. On Saturday, I walk into the room as bait and pray I don't come out as a casualty.
Outside the window, the night pressed in. Somewhere across the city, Ashley was also preparing, but for a very different kind of family gathering. On Saturday morning, in a cramped office 2 blocks from the reunion venue, 2 FBI technicians worked silently, taping the flat black transmitter beneath her blazer. One tested the signal, then told her to speak naturally. They would hear everything.
I am here to reconnect with my sister. Nothing more. Stay in character.
You're ready, Em. I'll be listening on the other end. You're not alone in there.
Outside the restaurant, Emily paused. Through the glass door, she saw the Vance family reunion banner and the long table set for an audience. The wire felt heavier than it had in the office.
Emily, you actually came. I was so scared you wouldn't. I've missed you like crazy.
The wire pinched as she squeezed me. I forced myself not to stiffen.
I have so much to explain, but promise me, just get through tonight first, okay?
Emily let herself be led inside. The wire sat cool and inert, but she felt it pulsing with every unspoken accusation. Gregory was already at the head of the table, raising a glass of champagne. His smile narrowed when he saw her. The game was on.
To family, the ones who show up, the ones who sacrifice, and the ones who keep their mouths shut.
The words hung in the air like the champagne fizz, pleasant on the surface, sharp underneath. Emily lifted her glass, but her eyes catalogued every face.
Uncle Greg, I've been wondering, how is the family business these days? Ashley mentioned you were busy.
She's asking about the business. Why is she asking about the business?
Just consulting, sweetheart. Little contracts here and there. Why the sudden interest?
Under the table, Ashley's hand wrapped around Emily's wrist and squeezed, a silent warning. Emily didn't flinch.
Just trying to understand what I missed while I was working on my own business. It seems so organized.
Gregory set his champagne down and studied her with the cold patience of a man who'd survived by seeing threats before they fully formed.
Organized is a big word, Emily. Too big for casual questions. Maybe we should talk privately later.
Ashley's face went pale. The room had shifted. The easy chatter was gone, replaced by a prickling awareness that something had just been cornered. Gregory's hand landed heavy on her shoulder. "Let's continue this somewhere quieter," he murmured, steering her toward a dim hallway near the restrooms.
Isolation. He thinks I'll break. Just stick to the script.
You've been asking about the family business all night. Who put you up to it?
No one. I just wanted to know what my sister's been doing. That's not a crime.
I know you talk to banks, so I'll ask once. Are you wearing a wire?
Emily's heart slammed against the transmitter. In the van, an agent stopped breathing. The silence was a blade.
A wire? I came to a family dinner. If I wanted trouble, I'd have called the police.
The police don't scare me. But a civilian with a grudge and a recording device, that could get messy.
He studied her for a long moment, then stepped back and straightened his jacket. The threat hadn't left his eyes, but he turned and walked back to the party without another word. He left her in the hallway. The wire still lived. In the van, an agent exhaled and scribbled a note. Subject was threatened. Continue monitoring. When Emily returned to the table, Ashley grabbed her wrist, fingers cold. The other guests had thinned, sensing the tension like smoke before a fire.
What did he say to you? Did he threaten you? Emily, you need to leave. Right now.
She's terrified of what he'll do to me. Or to herself. Which means she knows exactly what he's capable of. He asked if I was wearing a wire. And he's not the only one with questions. I know about the loans, Ash. $180,000.
She knows everything. Everything. If he hears this from me, I'm dead. Gregory made me do it. All of it. He said if I didn't, he'd tell the police about the car, make them think it was yours.
In the surveillance van, an agent pressed his earpiece and nodded once. "We've got admission. Target 1's complicit. Target 2 is the ringleader."
You had a choice, Ash. You always did. You just chose him over me.
The restaurant door swung open. Gregory reappeared, his eyes scanning the thinning crowd. Ashley wiped her cheek and let go of Emily's wrist. The signal was given. Agents pulled on their vests and checked their weapons. The bust was moments away, but Emily still had to get clear. Emily rose to leave, but before she could take a step, the doors burst open. Heavy boots pounded. Agents in dark vests flooded the room, shouting commands over the chaos. "FBI, hands on the table, now!" Gregory lunged toward the back exit with a curse, but 2 agents tackled him to the floor before he touched the handle.
What did you do? Emily, what did you do?
The handcuffs clicked around Ashley's wrists, her face contorted with rage and terror, auburn hair wild. Emily stood frozen against the wall. The wire still lived beneath her blazer, recording the chaotic silence. Through the chaos, an agent gently took her arm and began to lead her out, her legs moving on instinct.
It's over. I did it. Why does it feel like everything is broken?
The last thing she saw was Ashley being pushed into a sedan, her eyes finding Emily's for a split second of raw betrayal. Then the door closed, and the street was filled with flashing lights and the murmur of a crowd gathering in the night. Hours later, in a quiet federal room, Emily sat across from Agent Torres. The wire had been removed, but a phantom weight still pressed against her ribs. Torres thanked her again, then confirmed the recordings were enough for conspiracy and fraud charges. Her name would be cleared.
They'll scrub the debt, but the embarrassment of being a victim and a traitor at the same time, that won't disappear with a signature.
When she finally turned on her phone, The screen lit up with 37 messages from aunts, cousins, and her uncle's business partners, each one a blade. The local news had the story before she did. Woman wears wire to bust family fraud ring. Her blurred photo was unmistakably hers.
I cleared my name, and now my family hates me. I erased the only person who shared my face. What does that make me?
A week later, a letter from the credit bureau arrived, confirming all fraudulent accounts were deleted. She stared at the paper for a full minute.
You can apply for that loan again, Em. Your business is still waiting.
I can't think about a new loan right now. I have to testify next month. I'll be in the same room with her.
The manila folder from First Mercantile sat empty on the kitchen table. A hollow shell for the business plan that might still exist, if she could survive the stand. The grand jury returned indictments on a Thursday: conspiracy, wire fraud, aggravated identity theft. Ashley Vance and Gregory Vance would face trial. On the morning she was to testify, Emily walked through the courthouse doors, her charcoal blazer freshly pressed, a different kind of armor. The courtroom smelled of old wood and polish. She was led to a witness stand behind a frosted glass partition. She raised her right hand, swore to tell the truth, and met no one's eyes, especially not the auburn-haired woman at the defense table.
She used my name, my birthday, my social security number. For 18 months, she opened accounts across 4 banks. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. I could see her through the glass, but I refused to look.
The prosecutor held up the surveillance photos. Ashley flinched at the defense table, her jaw tight, but kept her eyes on her folded hands.
When I confronted her, she admitted it. She said our Uncle Gregory forced her, that he threatened to frame me for a crime I didn't commit.
Emily's hands gripped the rail of the stand, knuckles pale. Her testimony lasted 3 hours. She did not cry. When she stepped down, the jury was still watching. The case was handed to them with a charge that would follow the Vance name forever. The next day, Gregory's defense attorney rose for cross-examination, a man who had once gotten a fraud case dismissed because the witnesses vanished. He paced before the glass partition, voice slick. "Miss Vance, isn't it true you were furious at your sister? That you wanted revenge?"
I wanted my name back. I wanted the fraud to stop. That is not revenge. That's survival.
He tried to twist every answer, but Emily's replies remained flat and factual, the voice of someone who had already lost everything and could not be wounded further.
Let him paint me as a traitor. The recordings don't lie, neither will the jury.
The jury was out for 6 hours. When they filed back in, the room held its breath like a single tightened fist. The foreman read, "Guilty on all counts for Gregory Vance," then the same for Ashley, a dull thud, not a celebration.
We're both paying for his crimes now, but my name is mine again. That has to be enough.
Her mother's sister left without a glance. But across the aisle, Rebecca Chen stood and gave a single, steady nod. The judge's gavel fell once. The Vance fraud ring was legally dead, and with it, the last shred of the life Emily had been forced to share. The sentencing hearing was brief. Gregory Vance received 15 years without the possibility of early release, his cold gray eyes finally empty. Then the judge turned to Ashley. 5 years, with a recommendation for a rehabilitation program. She didn't blink. As the bailiff moved to lead her away, Emily rose from her seat and walked to the glass partition, the same one she'd testified behind.
After all of this, I needed to see her. Not the thief, my twin.
Ashley paused. Their eyes met through the frosted glass. For a long moment, no sound filled the space between them. A single tear slipped down Ashley's cheek. She didn't wipe it. Emily's hands pressed flat against the partition. She didn't speak, didn't smile, didn't break.
I won't forgive you, but I won't forget you either. Goodbye, Ash.
Ashley was led away. Emily watched until the door closed, then turned and walked toward the exit. Outside the courthouse, the sun hit her face. She was alone, but she was, finally, only herself. Her apartment building looked the same. Same bike chained to the rail, same window glowing with a lamp she hadn't turned off in weeks. Inside, the air was stale. She opened a window and let the city sounds drift in. The manila folder still waited on the kitchen table, undisturbed. From the bottom drawer of her dresser, she pulled a small box. Inside was a single photograph, 2 girls on a tire swing, identical faces, identical grins.
I kept this because I wanted proof we were the same. Now it's proof we never were.
She tucked the photo into a padded envelope and sealed it. Not destroyed, just stored. That was enough. She crossed to the window and looked down at the city. Traffic moved, people hurried, lives continued. None of them carried her name.
I'll reapply for that loan next week. The business plan is still in the folder. It just needs a new signature.
At her drafting desk, the empty manila folder waited. She opened it and slid a fresh sheet of paper inside. The doorbell didn't ring. The phone didn't buzz. No one needed her to be anyone else. For the first time in months, the silence was hers. She picked up her stylus, the screen lighting up with a half-finished design. Outside, the streetlights blinked on. A new night, a new start. Months later, her design studio had a waiting list. She walked through the park on a Tuesday, the sun warm on her shoulders. The route to the coffee shop passed the old bakery and the subway entrance, ordinary things that once felt impossible. She pushed open the door of the coffee shop. The smell of fresh espresso and cinnamon washed over her. The barista already knew her order. Emily gave a grateful nod and moved toward the window seat.
I used to flinch at mirrors. Now I seek them out.
She caught her reflection in the glass, auburn hair, calm eyes, a woman who belonged entirely to herself.
One face, one name, one life.
The smile that followed wasn't triumphant, just quiet. It was the smile of someone who had stopped watching for shadows. She picked up her cup, the warmth seeping into her palms. The future was still a blank page, but the signature would be hers. She stepped back outside, and the city stretched ahead, full of mornings that belonged to her alone. The mornings stretched ahead, and Emily walked without thinking about the direction. Her feet knew the way into this new life. It had taken 18 months to learn that a stolen identity isn't just lost credit. It's the weight of another face pressing against your own. She would never stop being a twin. Ashley's ghost would linger in old photos and peripheral glances, but a name belongs to the one who keeps it. She had used her name to stand, to testify, to refuse, not to erase the past, but to keep it from writing the future. The city didn't know her story. It just opened its sidewalks and let her pass as one ordinary person among many. That was the quiet miracle, being seen as singular and sufficient, with no shadow trailing behind her. The past wasn't erased. It was contained like the sealed envelope in her drawer, present but powerless to hurt her. She turned a corner, and the familiar streets gave way to broader avenues, places she hadn't walked when her name was still in question. The screen would fade here, on a woman who had walked through fire and come out with her name intact, not untouched, but whole. Emily Vance continued her morning, and the day held nothing more than the steady rhythm of a life that was finally, completely her own.